have with us someone who is no stranger to most of us, especially those who watch movies or who read about the theater and acting and the movie world. He was born to Nigerian parents in England. He graduated as a classically trained stage actor from the London Academy of Music and Dramatic Art. He started out on stage, was the first black actor to play a King of England for the Royal Shakespeare Company, and then he went on to do some TV shows. He got prominence as Danny Hunter in the British TV drama series Spooks. He's worked extensively in the United States, appeared in movies like The Butler, The Last King of Scotland. But then he really came to prominence for a section of the world when he acted the role of Martin Luther King Jr. In the acclaimed 2014 movie Selma. He's here with us. He's produced and acted the lead role in a movie that is just hitting the cinema screens here in the United Kingdom. And we want to appreciate someone who was instrumental in forging this relationship and getting him here and getting the movie into our country. Someone who I've known for 20 odd years or so, Reverend George Hargreaves. We want to appreciate George for what he's done. And in a few minutes, we'll get a chance to show our appreciation to our special guest today as he comes up to the stage. The movie Captive is based on true life events. It tells the story of a young mother who was a meth addict, and Ashley Smith, being held hostage for 7 hours by a murderer, and it just tells that whole story. We're believing that movie will really sell out. We're believing that you will play a part in making sure it does. We believe there's a message in that movie. And before we bring David Oyelowo up to the stage, we're going to show you a clip of the movie, and I'm sure it will be a blessing to you. So just sit back as our multimedia team does just that.
Mommy.
Hey, baby girl.
I love you.
I love you too.
I'll send my prayers for you.
I hate this car. I lost everything. My husband's dead, and they said I was an unfit mother. Took away my little girl.
Have you heard of this book? Help me.
You're late, Ashley. Lady dropped this off for you.
When I heard I had a son, I had to break out.
Breaking story right now. Police looking for this man.
Murder suspect Brian Nichols.
I want eyes in the sky. All choppers up now. Let's flush Nichols out.
My name is Ashley Smith. I'm a mother.
I don't trust you, Ashley. Be skin again, and I will have to kill you.
I need to see my daughter.
You're not going anywhere.
God, please help me.
You call me out upon.
What is that? What are you doing?
Just a book.
Read it to me.
If you want to know why you were placed on this planet, you must begin with God. He expects you to make the most of what you have been given.
I haven't been given anything.
You have a son.
Christopher, it's your daddy. You're gonna hear some bad things about me. Whatever happens, I love you, little man.
The greatest tragedy is not death, but life without purpose.
Stand up! Could you forgive me?
I don't know, but maybe God can.
I will call
Well, Jesus House, let's make him very welcome, David Oyelowo, as he comes up. You know, I'd said in the first service that you know, when I saw him, he looked different from the screen. He looked smaller than than he looked on the screen. And you know, we've had time to kind of get to know each other a bit more between the first service and now. And I don't say this to flatter, but you're a really nice guy. No,
it's just acting.
Now this movie, The Captive, yeah, it's different from some of the roles, at least the ones that we know you've played. What was behind it? Because you produced it as well as being the lead actor in it. What was behind it? What was your thinking? What did you want it to achieve?
Well, when I first encountered this story, what really struck me was the miracle of the second chance that was afforded Ashley Smith in particular, who was a meth addict. Her drug addiction had meant that she had lost custody of her daughter. She was actually a widow. She had lost her husband in a drug-related murder. This woman's life was very much on a downward spiral. Brian Nichols, who I play in the film, was a guy who was on trial for rape. He broke out of the courthouse jail and killed the judge he was about to face for trial. He also killed a sheriff's deputy, the court reporter, and a customs officer as well, before then taking Ashley hostage. As you can imagine, a murderer and a meth addict in an apartment together for 7 hours. There is no way anything good is coming out of that situation. But the intersection of those events and God's undeniable grace, forgiveness, redemption, mercy as it infiltrated specifically her, and to a certain point Brian Nichols, because everything about that day would suggest that she was going to be his fifth victim. She had been given a book written by Pastor Rick Warren called The Purpose-Driven Life. She hadn't really picked it up, and out of desperation started reading it to him. And something about the words from that book, the humanity they were able to express towards each other, meant that they both turned a corner, and it was the point beyond which she never touched that drug again and stepped into a life of purpose. And I just find that to be truly miraculous.
Wonderful, wonderful. For quite a number of the people here, they got to know David Oyelowo with the movie Selma, where you played Martin Luther King Jr. And I've got a quote here I wanted to read out. It says, I always knew, this is you, I always knew that in order to play Dr. King, I had to have God flow through me, because when you see Dr. King giving those speeches, you see that he's moving in his anointing. What was it like playing a man that we all admire so greatly, a man who literally God used to change history, to write history, and to change all our lives? What was it like playing Dr. Martin Luther King?
It was incredible. Obviously, it was a huge honor, but it was also very daunting, which is partly why I knew I needed to have God flowing through me in order to do the film justice, to do him justice, and to do the calling justice. And when I say calling, what actually happened is my wife and I moved to LA from London, from the UK, in 2007, May of 2007. And 2 months after we had moved there, the script of Selma hit my doormat. I was in a period of praying and fasting at the time. We were doing that at our church in LA, and you hear God more keenly when that's the case. And I felt God say to me on the 27th of July, 2007, that I was going to play Dr. King in the film Selma. Now, to give you context, I hadn't done any American movies at that point. I'm a British actor. I don't particularly think I look like Dr. King. I'd never had ambitions to play Dr. King. So this was a true case of God using the foolish things of this world to confound the wise. I mean, I just couldn't, I couldn't understand how this was going to be possible. But 7 years later, it went on to happen. An inheritance gained quickly will not be blessed in the end. So, 7 years on, I was playing that role. But in the meantime, in studying Dr. King, I could see, as someone who has been blessed with a life where I can feel when God is flowing through me, when I can feel instances where God is orchestrating things to bring something about. I mean, to give you context, God told me I was going to play Dr. King, and then he took me to school. He took me on this 150-year journey through what it was like to be a black person in America. I did a film called Lincoln that was set in 1865. I did a film called Red Tails, which was about African-American fighter pilots in the Second World War. I did a film called The Help, which was 1964, playing a parser. Then I did a film called The Butler, where we go all the way through the 20th century, charting African-American history. And then he gave me Dr. King to play. He knew I needed some time and some help. But when you see Dr. King giving those speeches, in my mind, I could see that this is someone who is functioning above what it is to be just human. Yeah. God is flowing through him. It is called magnetism, charisma by people who don't necessarily know what the anointing is, but this is someone in the red-hot eye of their calling, and I felt if I was going to portray that, I needed the same thing. I knew I couldn't do it in my own strength, and literally there were days where I was giving those speeches where I felt taken over. I watched the film, and I like to think of myself as a very good actor, but I'm not that good. And I just felt God really flowing through me, and I knew I needed that before playing the role.
Wonderful. You've spoken quite a lot about your faith, and you're upfront about your faith. You are also a black man in America, as in in quite a number of countries. A black man in the movie industry who's a Christian and not ashamed of his faith, quite upfront about it. Have you faced challenges? Have you found it challenging? And if you have, how have you handled those two issues?
Yes, there are very real challenges, both as a black man and as a Christian. But, one of the things I was really blessed with is even though I was born in the UK, I lived in Nigeria for 7 years, from the age of 6 to 13. And there is, as some of you may know, a big difference between living somewhere where you're a minority and where you're a majority. And to live in Lagos for 7 years as a young boy going into adolescence, when you live in a society where every opportunity available is afforded you, where you can get up every day and you're not thinking, what obstacles do I have to overcome today in order to attain the highest level that this society has to offer, that is something that if you can hold on to is precious. Because when my parents moved us back to the UK, that was solidified within me. The fact that anything and everything that God has for me can, should, and will be mine. And even though here in the UK, especially as an actor, there were challenges. In America, there are very real challenges as well. But I don't get out of my bed every day feeling like it's me against the world. I go into my day going, God, what do you have for me today? Bring it to me. And I don't see the obstacles. And I truly, but that's a gift of having lived in Nigeria. That's a gift of knowing I'm a son of God, and therefore all that he has for me is for me, but also some revelations that have come to me from that is the fact that in my life, in your life, you are the center of your existence, of your world. In film, in media, a lot of the time as black people, we are on the periphery. And that's one of the things, that's one of the big challenges. You know, when I first read Selma as a script, Dr. King was a supporting role in the film.
Really?
The film was more about Lyndon Baines Johnson. And over the course of the 7 years, 5 directors came and went. The first director, after God told me that I was going to play this role, rejected me, and the words that came from my agent were, "He is not Dr. King." You don't want to say that to me. Not when God has told me.
Yes.
And so he went. And another 5 directors later, it turned around so much that I was the one to recommend to the producers who should direct it. And Ava DuVernay went on to direct it. It also turned around so much that Oprah Winfrey had played my mother in The Butler. And I talked to her about my dream of playing Dr. King, and she said, "I believe that is your destiny, and I will do anything and everything I can to help you attain that." And when we brought Ava on, we were still struggling to get that film made. And I went to her, and I said, "Mamo," which is what I call her, "I need your help." She came on board, and that was what turned it around. And so the reason I bring that up is no one is going to be as passionate about your story as you are. And so what turned it around is basically passion, people like Oprah and Ava coming on board and saying, "We are of value, we are important, our story needs to be told also," and that's how, yes, there are challenges, but we can turn it around.
Wonderful. Wonderful. You're married to Jessica. You have 4 children. 4 children?
Yes, yes.
4 children?
Yes, you heard him right. We are all Niger now, eh? You know. 3 boys, and 1 beautiful girl. Yes, we like to procreate, don't we?
I'm not sure how much you know this, but your role model, your marriage is an example. You know, people see you as a role model, as a husband, and a father. And if you didn't know, I'm telling you, you are a role model, and for a lot of people. But I wonder, does that put any pressure on you? The fact that, you know, God has done things in your life, and in a sense, your family life, your marriage, God is putting it out there as an example to so many others. Does that put any pressure on you?
Yes, it does. But I became a Christian when I was 16. I became born again when I was 16, and I was brought up in a Christian household. But it didn't mean anything to me. I was very much piggybacking on my parents' faith. And I made the very naive choice at that age to say, "God, whoever you are, if you are real, you need to turn up for me, and I'm going to give you 3 months to do that." And much to my surprise, he did. And the thing he said to me is, "David, there is nothing you can do to make me love you less." And that revelation has never left me. It's become the bedrock of my life. The Bible talks about us going from faith to faith. And that knowledge gave me just enough to take the next step and the next step and the next step. And based on that faith, and based on hearing the voice of God, when I met my wife, we were teenagers. She was 17, I was 19. And I just knew. I just knew it was her, and we got married when she was 20 and I was 22. And there was a lot of pressure for all kinds of things. You know, we were virgins when we got married. I mean, you can imagine the mockery you get for if that's something you believe in. You know, I was one of the only black people at my drama school, and you know, and a Christian as well. While all kinds of things are going on, and I'm there, and I'm engaged to be married at a young age. So my point is that pressure is something that I think comes the minute you decide to step over and make a choice for God. But God is so merciful. I didn't know I was going to have a platform. I didn't know I was going to have a stage to be a role model. But that life of choices made for God began at a very early age. So it's just natural to me now. You know, I've been married to my wife for 17 years, and I'm more in love today than I've ever been. We have 4 amazing children, and it's all built on this foundation of God's love. So if the byproduct is that other people hopefully are inspired or see an example to gravitate towards, that's amazing, but I'm just living my blessed life, which thankfully seems to have an overflow.
Thank you. I mean, I don't know whether it's true or not, but you read a lot of things, and we read that there's a chance you're going to be the first black James Bond. And then I read as well. I know this is true. I read that you've done the audiobook. You're the voice in the audiobook for the next James Bond. So is that one step towards being the next?
Even you were doing it. You're like
just asking.
You're like yeah, but it's for an audiobook. But you're gonna be no, people. It is for an audiobook. Like I literally played James Bond. I for an audiobook. But you, in our clickbait social media world, you know, the article reads, David Oyelowo is the first black James Bond in an audiobook. And everyone literally takes that headline to the point I've got cousins, uncles in Nigeria. David, you are going to play James Bond. Martin Luther King to Bond. Praise God, And then, you know, Uncle Yemi is all going on and on and on, and you're like, should I just let him go, or should I just bring it? Let me just let him go.
Okay, well, you know what? He's in a Pentecostal church. We believe God answers prayers. How many are going to pray that David Oyelowo will be the next James Bond? One last thing, because I know you have to dash and you're traveling tomorrow and you've got this busy schedule. And we really want to thank you for taking time out to come and be with us. But one last thing, it's a word to not just those who are here, but loads of people listen on the internet to our services. And they're young people who have aspirations and dreams to be actors or actresses. Some of them have actually started the journey. Different races, it doesn't matter, black, white, Chinese, they're out there. So wanted you to say something to them, and then wanted you to also say something especially to the black young actors and actresses who are out there. Just whatever God lays on your heart to them, young aspiring actors and actresses who are at a place you were at maybe 15 years ago or something like that.
Yeah, well, you know, one of the rules I live by as an actor, but this applies to any sphere of life, is the difference between good and great is hard work. And that doesn't matter whether you're black, white, or anything in between. A truism is that as a black person, in Hollywood, in the entertainment industry, you have to work twice as hard to get half as far, which by my calculation means you have to work 4 times as hard. That's okay.
Yeah.
Because I like to work hard, and if that levels the playing field, hard work is not going to be the thing that's going to stop me. But what I would say to anyone who is aspiring to be in the entertainment industry, to be an actor, is it really needs to be the only thing in the world you want to do. Because rejection, the challenges of it, no matter who you are, from Tom Cruise down, you are going to have highs and lows, and the only thing that keeps you going is the knowledge and the self-belief that A, you are called, B, you are prepared to put in the work, and C, that it is the only thing you want to do. Because when you're working in that restaurant, as I had to do, that's the thing that keeps you smiling. That's the thing that keeps you working. That's the thing that keeps you believing. When you have audition after audition after audition and you are being rejected consistently and continually, that is what keeps you going. And so it's a combination of that, and the thing is, it's such a subjective art form as well. One person will love the film, another person will hate it, and there's just no way of avoiding that. That's part of the beauty of an artistic expression. All it takes is 1, 2, maybe 3 people who believe in you. When those people are there, hold on. Hold on. And the primary person who does believe in you is God. You know, if he has given you that talent, if he has given you an ability, and you know that in your spirit you're called to do it, then there's nothing the devil or man or there's no obstacle that can be placed in front of you that cannot be surmounted. But it does have to be surmounted. And the only way to do that is to partner with God in your destiny to get to your destination. And so, for me, it's those two things. It's the hard work, knowing you're called, and then just the belief to keep going.
Wonderful. Can we appreciate David Oyelowo? Now tonight, this evening at 6 p.m., we're going to have a showing of the movie The Captive here at Jesus House. It's been released out there. This is a special showing of it. We've worked hard to ensure that it comes here and is shown here. We have George Hargreaves and Pastor Ayo to thank for a lot of hard work behind the scenes. And it's going to be showing here for free. Yeah, not that it's not costing us something. It is costing something, but it's going to be showing for free. So we're going to do it on a first-come, first-served basis. There are no overflow facilities. Once this facility is full, that's it. Now, you can pick up tickets after the service because it's ticketed, even though it's free. And you're welcome to invite your friends. And I know one thing about you guys here at Jesus House is you're good with Twitter, Instagram, and all the other technology that goes with this age. We want you to use that technology. We want you to talk about the movie The Captive. We want you to tell your friends about it, tell your family about it. And we're encouraging you to come back after this service at 6 p.m. We're going to try and create a cinema effect in here. BAM and the multimedia team are brilliant, as we all know. But we're going to even try and get Ayo to create a cinema effect outside. Hopefully we can get some popcorn. And then for those of you who want to eat hot dogs, and you know, we'll get hot dogs. You can pray to lose the calories after, just eat the hot dogs.
No dodo, eh?
No dodo, and no jollof. But yeah, we want to say, come, you know, bring your neighbors, bring your friends, come back at 6 p.m. and sit down here and watch a movie that will speak a message into your life. And we want to show that we appreciate that he took time out of his busy schedule to come. So let's appreciate David Oyelowo.